Hi, I'm Claire, and today I want to talk about some authors I really want to read more from. These are authors whose work I've just started to read, just started to discover in the last couple of years, people who I haven't read much from, basically just the one book, but I really enjoyed that one book. I found it intriguing, something struck me about it, and it made me want to read more by that same author. And because I was so intrigued, in a lot of the cases I'm going to talk about, I've been buying more books by these authors when I came across them. I've been thinking I'll have to get to this one at some point soon. So this list is as much a shout out to some great books that made me want just more from a particular author, as it is a reminder for myself that I already own quite a few of those books and I should really be reading them in 2018. First up, we've got Nnedi Okorafor. I read her novella Binti when it first came out and really enjoyed it. It's got a lot of themes that I love in it, a lot of discussion of alien languages and alien forms of communication, and I really like the university setting that's in the second half of the book. I wanted more in that world when I finished the story, and there are two sequels. There's Binti Home and The Night Masquerade, and they are both out now, I think, so I should really catch up. I also own a copy of Lagoon, but it's in my living room, and the Book of Phoenix, which is right here, and both of them I've heard great things about. Next up is Matt Wallace. I read Envy of Angels, the first novella in his Sin du Jour series, when it first came out, and I thought it was really good fun. At the time though, I was a bit unused to the novella format, and the length of the story kind of threw me. But it's been a couple years now, and I've gotten really into reading novellas in that time. So now that I'm used to the format and I keep hearing great things about this series, I'm excited to kind of go back and read all of them. And I know I always meant to continue this series because I've been buying all of the ebooks as they came out, so I have them. Next is Angela Slatter. I really enjoyed her Tor.com novella of Soar and Such, which I gushed about both when I just read it and in my favorite Witches video. I loved the central character and how real the fantasy world felt and the way she wove like super creepy and disturbing elements into the narrative. I definitely want to read more from Slatter, and I'll probably start with one of her two novels, but she's also written a lot of short fiction and her short stories have won a bunch of awards, so I'll definitely be looking those up as well. Next, we're stepping back in time a bit with John Wyndham. I read The Day of the Triffids a good few years back and I really loved it. On top of the fact that I love apocalyptic stories in general, I really enjoyed the brevity of Wyndham's storytelling. There was something about it that grabbed me. With all these new releases to get excited about all the time, I sometimes forget all the books that I meant to read, which is a big part of why I haven't read the other John Wyndham books that I've been collecting in these gorgeous Penguin editions. I have The Chrysalids, Plan for Chaos, and The Midwich Cuckoos. Next is Tansy Rayna Roberts, who also writes as Livia Day. Last year I read A Trifle Dead, the first book in her Livia Day Cozy Mystery series. I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to, given that I'm not usually into any kind of crime fiction. It was a finish the book in a rush at 3 AM and order the next one on the spot kind of a situation. So of course I'd like to read book 2, Drowned Vanilla, but I also have an arc of her latest book, Girl Reporter. It's a novella published under the name Tansy Rayna Roberts, and it's recently just come out from Book Smugglers Publishing. Next we have Neil Stephenson. I've actually only read Seven Eves by Stephenson, but I loved that book, though as many people have pointed out, including me at the time, the first half worked much better than the second half. I kind of wish it had been published as two different books so that the second part would have gotten more fleshed out. In any case, I definitely want to read more Stephenson, and I'm sure my library has plenty of his work, so if anyone has recommendations for what Stephenson book to pick next, you can leave those in the comments below. Next up is Zen Cho. I thought her debut novel, Sorcerer to the Crown, was absolutely delightful. This is a fantasy of manners, which is a subgenre I really love, and it did things that I didn't expect, while at the same time making me care massively about the main characters. There is a sequel currently scheduled to come out later this year, and of course I'm really excited for that. But I also recently realized that Zen Cho has written a whole bunch of short fiction that I really want to check out. Next is Colson Whitehead, an author who writes a lot more literary stuff than what I usually go for. but I read The Underground Railway last year and absolutely loved it. Although it felt more like literary historical fiction than speculative fiction to me, I just adored the prose in that book. It was gorgeous, there were some wonderful turns of phrase, and the whole book just really did not pull any punches. So I'm curious to read more from Whitehead, even though I've been told that his other books are just as literary as this one, if not more. And finally, we've got Mackenzie Lee. I read The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue in 2017 and I liked it a lot. I was kind of expecting a happy-go-lucky romance from the marketing of it, and I got a whole heap of angst and hurt comfort, but to be honest, I was pretty okay with that. It was an addictive read, and I definitely want to read the sequel as soon as possible, but while we all wait for The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy to actually come out, I want to check out Lee's other novel and her short fiction work as well. So that's it, these were a few authors I'm hoping to read more from in future. Has anyone else had this experience where you read one book by someone and suddenly you need to read their entire backlist right now? Because that seems to happen to me quite a lot, and it can be a bit of a blessing in disguise if you fell in love with their debut novel and there's just not a second one yet. So that's why I'm really excited when I find out that people have written a lot of short fiction. Anyway, let me know about your book crushes in the comments below. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video right about here. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face right here for new videos from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.